Hello everyone, my name is Lewis and I am the commentator for StarCraft Sports Network, coming to you once again for another Windows 7 tutorial. In this one I'll be showing you how to install Windows 7 to a virtual hard drive file. And this is actually a literal file that'll sit on the main partition of your Windows 7 installation and you can boot onto it. Literally, you can actually boot onto this from your computer. You don't have to use a virtual machine or anything to boot up to this. This is a single file that can sit there and you can put stuff into it as if it was a real hard drive and without having to use any programs or a host operating system. It's actually really useful and really cool. So let's get it started. What you'll need is a Windows 7 computer like I'm using here, and you'll also need a decently sized hard drive if you plan on using a lot of space for this virtual drive. But if you don't want to use a lot of space, for example, you only want to use 20 gigs, just enough space to boot it up, and then you can get all your other files off the regular hard drive, which is also possible. When you boot up from the virtual drive, you can see all the rest of your physical drives perfectly fine. Really cool and really useful. But that's all you really need. If you have XP, this will not work. If you have Vista, there's a workaround. Look in the more info box and I explain how to do it. And that's pretty much it. So since I can't really, restart my computer into the Windows 7 setup, I have to use VirtualBox. That's another thing. You're going to also need a Windows 7 installation disk. This is the only way. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a given, but you're going to need the Windows 7 installation disk. It could either be a disk or a USB, whichever you want to use. So let's go ahead. I'm going to turn on my VirtualBox here, get it started, get it rolling. I'm going to start it up. Windows is loading files, blah blah blah. Wait for it to start up. I mean, this is important. You actually have to have this set up to do this part. And you can't, I mean, you can go ahead and do it from Windows, like, set up the drive and stuff, but you can't attach it. You can't attach it and then restart and have it there. You have to attach it from here. So when you get to the Windows 7 install here, it'll say, language to install, this and that. You need to hold Shift and then press F10. A command prompt is easily going to pop up. Now, depending on the name of your drive will depend on what letter you're going to type in. So I'll use C because that of course is my C drive. So why not, The next thing you'll have to type in is diskpart. Diskpart is the program that I use in my USB tutorial to actually make the USB drive bootable, make it NTFS and all that. Diskpart is going to make our virtual drive for us, which is actually pretty simple. So you can go ahead and type in create vdisk file equals C, and then I'll just name it like win7e.vhd maximum equals. Now the maximum number is actually the megabytes of the size of the drive. So if I wanted a 20 gig drive, for example, I'd take 1024 and multiply it by 20. And that's pretty much what I would get. And it's going to take a couple minutes, but I mean, it's a 20 gig file, or however big you want to make it, it's going to take a little bit. So I'm going to pause this really quick and wait for it to get done. Alright, so now it's completely made. We can actually continue. So all we got to go is select vdisk file C win7e.vhd, and then you got to go attach vdisk, and then all you got to say is exit, and then you got to exit the command prompt, and that's that. Click next, click install now. Give it a couple minutes, it'll pop up with all the information we need to keep going into the Windows 7 setup. Accept the license terms, custom. Here's the unallocated space. The unallocated space, obviously, which is 20 gigs, is obviously the virtual file. And you can go ahead and click New, Apply. It'll attach a primary partition to it. You can tell it Format, which I actually recommend doing, by the way. And you click Next, and then it'll go ahead and do its bidding. And that's pretty much all you got to do. It's actually a very, very simple little tutorial. And after that, you can when you restart the computer, most likely the boot menu will come up and you'll have two labels. You'll probably have two Windows 7s, or one that says Windows 7 and then another one that has a different, maybe it'll say something else, who knows. But all I know is that two entries will come up. The bottom one most likely will be the install that I'm doing right here. And then you can go ahead and use the arrow and the enter key to get into it and continue the install and do what you got to do. And you'll actually be pretty surprised that it works, because all the boot manager does is that when you select it, it mounts the virtual file and moves it right in. Really, really cool, really, really efficient, and it's actually very awesome. Very great testing grounds. So anyway, that's the end of the tutorial. My name is Lewis. Keep in touch.